We're here at ARC World Forum in Orlando, Florida. I'm pleased to welcome Harry Forbes, Senior Analyst at ARC Advisory Group.
Hi. Today, I'm speaking with Mike Maris from Motorola Solutions. Mike is the Senior Director of Global Solutions for Transportation and Logistics. Mike, thank you for coming to the ARC Forum.
Thank you, Harry, for having me here.
It's nice to have you here. We've sure seen a lot of major disruptions in supply chains in the last 3 years, given the economic crisis and the ongoing economic crisis and the major natural disasters, especially in Japan. Can you talk about the effect of those kind of events on the global supply chains?
Certainly. With the economy and those type of natural disasters, we've seen changes, really disruptions in the supply chains. So manufacturers particularly have had to look to better ways of sourcing those parts and products. They've had to look at how they might set up secondary shops that they didn't have before. So it has been a major eye-opening experience for most manufacturers and the people who help ship that product.
Absolutely. What do you see as the kind of changes that people are going to make going forward to compensate for this risk and kind of reduce their supply chain risk?
Well, the big thing on that is just the sheer distance. When you're doing a lot of manufacturing, if you're a North America company and your manufacturing is overseas in Turkey or in Asia or somewhere like that, obviously there's a time component there on getting those products over. So what we're seeing manufacturing plants do is look at, does it make sense to bring manufacturing in closer to where the end customer is? And so we're starting to see manufacturers starting to do more work in North America specifically, across the border in places like Canada and Mexico.
Okay. If we move to the other end of the supply chain and look at the distribution area, what kind of changes are taking place in the distribution area in this new normal environment that we have for the last 3 years?
Oh, the new normal. Well, you know, I think companies really had to look at what is their core expertise. I know ourselves, we did the same thing too and said, are we a manufacturer? Are we a shipper? Are we a warehousing company? And what we've seen is really an increase in the 3PL activity. Obviously, they're customers of ours, and we see the demand for our products in 3PLs because manufacturing companies have said it makes sense to turn that over to people who are experts in the field. So consequently, from a manufacturing standpoint, they are doing more outsourcing through 3PLs, as well as customers like ourselves.
Besides repositioning this way, what do you think are the technologies that are going to be used in the near future to make supply chains smarter,
well,
whether they're long or short?
Whether they're long or short. Well, you know, there is a new term, and I think you're hearing it more and more every day. Our CEO has just used it most recently, which was bring your own device. And what that whole thing around bring your own device is saying is how different operating systems are starting to affect what we're doing in this world. So part of the technology, number one, is people are looking to use tablets. And consequently, the use of those tablets in manufacturing and supply chain is also now dictating that not the same operating system can be used in every place. So besides Microsoft, which certainly is, you know, the majority of the users I see out there, Android is starting to come on very quickly. And I think the way most people are looking at this, especially software developers are looking at it, is how do we allow multiple operating systems to work on the same or similar devices. So we're seeing a big change in technology in that respect.
Okay, more independence from the operating system and from the software.
Absolutely, and it comes down to the individual user. What are they wanting to use? And then making sure that that application works well for the use that they want to use it for.
What are you doing for your partners to help them in that kind of world where there's not a single platform they're designing for?
So along that line, we recognize that our major customers who are wanting to use multiple operating systems, even within the same operation, needed to have a way to be able to balance that out. not to have to do a rip and replace of current hardware and software in order to be able to provide the kind of services that they wanted to those individuals. So what we've done as a company, we've actually developed a layer of software that's a middleware that allows the interpretation of whether it be an Android or a Microsoft operating system back to the whole system. So what it's done is made it really ubiquitous as far as what the end user is using. As long as the information that we get back to the host, then everybody is correct and everybody is very happy with what we're delivering.
Okay, let me shift gears a little bit, Mike. One technology that maybe went into recession a little bit before the rest of the planet was RFID. We sure heard a lot of hype about that, and now that's settled down an awful lot. Are we starting to get productivity from RFID at this point in time? How do you see that area developing?
So I think the big area was productivity was thought to be the big one with RFID. And certainly we have good examples, not only with our company, but other companies, of how productivity increases are there and they're available. Costs have always been one of those big concerns. What we're seeing really, though, is RFID coming more from the end consumer and wanting to do asset management. So everything, especially in our retail side of our business, a lot of asset management of expensive jeans and expensive watches, those kind of things. But as it comes back into the transportation logistics business, is being able then to track those assets such as trucks and trailers and some of those other heavy assets within distribution and warehousing. So it's made a gradual move from everybody thought it was going to be all retail into now asset areas, which will cover certainly all the different verticals that we play in.
So you see this delivering significant value and you expect substantial growth in the area?
Well, and that's what our users are telling us, yes. As one of the major suppliers of RFID equipment, we have seen the increase in the amount of equipment that is going out the door, being sold to these users. And there's certainly, if the ROI wasn't there, they wouldn't be buying this type of equipment. So I believe it is there. And a lot of that has been around the asset tags, the RFID tags that they're using. The prices continue to come down, which really makes it more affordable. Now, if you're tracking something very sensitive and expensive, it's probably not as a big deal that you put a very expensive tag on that product. Now, some of the other areas that we're seeing with RFID is around the areas of such as cold chain. It used to be that we would do a lot with being able to track temperature, but if once that truck arrives and the temperature has gotten too hot or too cold for whatever the load is, you basically have probably spoiled product. What we're seeing now is a movement in RFID to get sensors from these type of tags that are within the trailer to be able to be forewarned of any kind of variance in the temperatures so that we can react to that. So that if it's a case where the merchandise is getting too hot, to be able to increase the cool out of the truck itself, to be able to lower the temperature within that trailer and to make that a viable load when it gets there.
Okay. Mike, thank you so much for being with us. It's been really great talking to you.
Thank you very much, Harry.
Thank you very much for listening. This is Harry Forbes from ARC Advisory Group.